Believing God for a husband takes faith, but God warns us that faith without works is dead. So whatever faith you have for a husband, if it's not aligned with proper works, your faith is ultimately useless and dead. In this video, we are going to talk about 4 main areas that I think are important when it comes to preparing for your future husband. How you prepare determines what kind of man you're trying to attract. So the better you prepare, the easier it's going to be for you to attract a good Christian man. What we are essentially doing is becoming the best version of ourselves so that we can attract the best. The areas we're going to be addressing are going to be physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual. We're going to be reading some verses from the Bible and digest them into practical steps that you can take every day. The first area is physical. I wanted to start out with this first because I feel like a lot of people deal with insecurities. They don't have a good view of themselves, but I want you guys to know that God created each and every one of you beautifully. So you don't have to feel insecure about certain things, whether it's that you're too tall, or you don't like your skin tone, or you don't like your hair, or you don't like your body type or body size. There are some things that you can adjust and fit to accentuate your beauty, but at the end of the day, you do want someone who is truly attracted to who you are. I want to start out by reading a passage from the book of Esther. Just to give you guys some context, Esther is a Jewish woman whose parents died. As a result, she was put under the custody of one of her family members called Mordecai. The kingdom she lived in had gone through a crazy uproar when King Ahasuerus had removed his wife, Queen Vashti, from her position as queen. That seat of a queen was now empty, so all the beautiful women in the land were rounded up and taken to the palace. In the palace, it says that each woman's turn came to go to King Ahasuerus after she had completed 12 months preparation, according to the regulations for the woman. For thus were the days of their preparation appointed, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfume and preparations for beautifying the woman. And then we see again another example of preparation in the book of Ruth. Before Ruth presented herself to Boaz, her mother-in-law gave her instructions on how to physically prepare herself. She told her, "Therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself. Put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor." Many times people associate the process of beautifying yourself and taking care of yourself as vain and self-glorifying, but that is not what we are doing here, and that only happens if you begin to idolize beauty. Taking care of yourself physically is a way to honor God and the temple that He has given you. Think about it. If God gave you a house, would you just let it get dusty and dirty? Or would you make effort to take care of it? Would you clean it consistently and decorate it in a beautiful manner so it can feel welcoming to those who visit you? Likewise, you also need to be taking care of the temple that God gave you, which is your body, which is worth so much more than any house. Remember that the Holy Spirit of God resides within you. And also, wouldn't you want your future husband to also be taking care of himself? You can't demand something that you're not doing yourself. So it is time to take stock of your current physical state and make goals. When I did this, I divided it into 4 different categories. The first category is health. Even though I wasn't necessarily overweight, I was definitely not in shape. My goal was to become more toned and fit, and also that I would begin incorporating healthier foods into my diet. So what are your goals? Are you overweight or are you underweight? Do you want to start adding foods that will give you energy instead of you feeling tired and lethargic all the time? So create a goal and write out a plan so that you can reach it. That looks like, how many times a week are you going to the gym? At what time? If you are going to change up what kind of foods you're eating, what will you replace it with? Begin to follow fitness influencers on Instagram so that you can stay motivated. What workouts are they doing? What does their meal prep look like? Your Instagram feed needs to be full of inspiration that you can look at every single day. I loved watching people's transformation, and that definitely pushed me and showed me that even though they looked that great, they didn't start out that way. This is the most important category under physical, because how you eat and work out determines if you will be experiencing sickness and disease in the future. There is a massive correlation between your health and the diseases that you are likely to get as a result of it. Being unhealthy will cost you. Imagine the strain it puts on a marriage when you have to go to hospital visits, when you have low sex drive, or even you dying young. You want to carry good habits into your marriage because these things will carry over onto your husband and even your children. As a future wife, it is your job to take proper care of your home, and that includes the body of your husband and of your children. You get to decide what you allow in the home and what you cook for them. I also want you guys to know that even if you were born with some type of sickness or deformity, that does not disqualify you from being able to find a partner. There are so many people with different struggles and walks of life, and they were still able to find love. So your job is just to do the best that you can with the grace that God is going to give you. The second category is skin. Create a skincare routine based on your needs. It doesn't need to be anything elaborate. Just do research to find a gentle cleanser, a serum that has antioxidants, a moisturizing cream, and of course, sunscreen. Doing these things will have you to look your best and prevent premature aging. If you have a serious skin condition or scars and uneven skin tone, do seek professional help. There are so many things out there, you guys. There are treatments, lasers, peels, all these things that can help improve your skin and make it so much better. One of my favorite treatments is microneedling with PRP. That thing gave my face a glow and got rid of all my uneven skin tone, and it definitely reduced my pores. Third is hair. This is the time to find out hairstyles that really flatter you for every occasion. Whether you are chilling out and you want to be in loungewear, or you're going out for a fancy night and you want to look super glamorous and cute, this is the time to experiment with different hairstyles. I had so much fun playing around with braids, blowing out my hair and using a curling iron. I got the chance to really explore my hair, what my hair likes, and the type of products that really work for it. What are your hair goals? Do you want your hair to be thicker or do you want it to be longer? If so, create a routine that will really work for you. The Bible says that a woman's hair was given to her for her glory. So whether your hair is short or long, God gave it to you to accentuate your beauty. And now to talk about a different side of hair is body hair. If you're anything like me, I have super curly hair. So when it came to my body hair, I was not messing around with no razors. I went straight to laser hair removal. I literally would go on Groupon and search around my area to find all these different laser hair removal places, and I would buy packages for each one for like different parts of my body so that I could get all of it in a discount. This was really necessary for me because whenever I shaved, I would get these bumps, and then the bumps would turn into scars, and then my skin would just start looking ugly. Some people have referred to it as strawberry legs. All I know is that laser hair removal removed all of that for me, so I have the smoothest skin now, and to this day, my husband constantly compliments me, telling me that I have the smoothest skin, and I know it's because of all the treatments that I did. It paid off. Other options include waxing, but of course, if you decide to continue shaving, then just make sure that you're using a good shaving cream. The fourth category is teeth. I kid you not, I got braces in my adult life to straighten my crooked teeth. It was kind of embarrassing at the time because I was an adult, and every time I went to the orthodontics, I always saw little kids there, and so I felt kind of left out. But I am so glad I went through with it because I think it was definitely worth it. I love my smile now, and I get compliments all the time. It also helped me to have healthier teeth and gums because braces taught me to have a more strict oral routine. Teeth is especially important if you're older because it is one of the most obvious signs of aging. Your teeth is an important part of your smile, of your face, and of your expression. I recommend using an electric toothbrush so that you brush your teeth properly without adding too much pressure and damaging them, and of course, flossing every single day. Make sure that you're getting regular checkups and cleaning so that anything that you missed, you can catch early on. At this point, some of you may think that I've gone overboard, but you have to understand that when I was dating, I wanted to put my best foot forward. And if we're being honest, no matter how good a Christian man is, at the end of the day, he is still a man. And so attraction is going to play a part into whether or not he pursues you. But obviously, there's no point in making the whole outside beautiful if your inside is a mess, which is why we're not going to go deeper into the second area, which is emotional preparation. Christian men are struggling right now to find a high quality Christian woman because the women that they meet are dumping all their trauma, hurt, and pain onto them. They are paying the consequences of what another man did. And for some of you that maybe never had a relationship, you could also experience hurt and pain from people who are your friends and family members as well. The point is that all of us have a past that we're trying to heal from. And right now, men are looking for women that can be their peace, a woman that is kind and compassionate. And I'm sure you also want to attract an emotionally healthy man, not someone who is manipulative or abusive. You need to be emotionally healthy so that you can attract healthy men, and also so that you can recognize early on when a man is not the right one for you. The first step into doing this is forgiveness. Forgive all the men who took advantage of you, all the men who cheated on you and made you feel worse than. Forgive the ones who broke your trust, the one who loved bombed you, only to abandon you and walk away. This is what I did. I would go before God and I would forgive them by faith, and I would begin listing one by one every offense that they did against me. So let's say there's a guy named John who hurt you, whether an ex, a friend, or a family member. Regardless of your feelings, you go before God and start forgiving him by faith, listing every offense. Father God, I forgive John for cheating on me. I forgive him for ghosting me and then replacing me with her. I forgive John for saying lies about me and trying to ruin my reputation. Go down the list of every single person that has hurt you. Do this every single day over and over again until you can finally release them into the freedom of forgiveness. We have to do this because God says that if we do not forgive others, He will not forgive us. No matter how high the offense it is that people commit against us, we committed a greater offense against God. And so how can we come before the Lord asking for mercy, asking for grace, asking for these prayers to be answered if we cannot even be obedient in the least of these things? Don't worry about revenge. Don't worry about if things are unfair. That is not your job. God is the judge, and He is the just one that will handle your situation. Forgiveness does not mean that you give this person access to your life. You are allowed to make boundaries and even cut off ties with them completely if it's necessary. Ask God to heal you of all your hurt and make it like it never happened. You do not want to carry the weight of your past into your new relationship. Which brings me to moving on. Some of you are stuck on an ex, on a situationship, on a relationship that's not heading nowhere. If they're an ex or someone you know is not your husband, you have no business entertaining them. Block them, unfollow them from social media, cut off communication because you want to begin to make room for what God has for you. How can God trust you with His Son's heart if you are subject to destroy it by also entertaining somebody else? And let's be honest, would you want to be with a man who is still talking to his ex? The third category is leaving behind toxic traits. You know what your toxic trait is. I know for me, it was that I would get easily offended and I had horrible communication skills. For some of you, it may be different. Maybe you start cursing and get disrespectful when you're angry. Maybe you have low self-esteem. Maybe you're super paranoid and get jealous easily. Whatever it is, in Colossians chapter 3, it talks about putting to death the things that do not please God. Begin to ask God to help you eliminate those things and to help you start producing good fruit. Jesus tells us that the best way to produce good fruit is by abiding in Him. He says, "Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing." So without Jesus, we cannot produce these good fruits that will be helpful in our future relationship. Moving on to the next area, which is financial. While I was single, I began to pay off all of my credit card debt and began to save money. This was an act of faith for me because the money I was saving was going to be used for my future wedding dress, and even the house that we would buy eventually. Also, I was really praying for my spouse to be financially sound and responsible, so I knew that I had to get myself in check. Take a piece of paper and write down every single debt that you own. That includes credit card debt, car debt, school loans, and anything else. Now, in a separate page, write down how much you make a month after taxes and start deducting your monthly expenses. With the money that's left, create a saving plan and a debt payoff plan. A great resource for this is Dave Ramsey. I have watched some of his videos and they are very helpful. Having this was super useful for me because after I met my husband, when it finally came time for us to have these serious discussions regarding finances and family, having this ready helped us to create goals and realistically see where we were heading. It even helped us to get married sooner because we were able to clearly see that we were ready. Just a fun fact, most men don't care about how much money you make. They don't care if you're a boss babe, although you can be. They don't care that you have a master's degree, although you can get one. What they care about mainly is that you have a respectable job and that you are responsible. So don't make how much money you make be a selling point. Because men are the ones who were made to be providers, they're the ones who are more concerned about making sure they're financially ready in order to take care of their family. I've spoken to many good Christian men, and they would absolutely love if they could make enough money so that when their wife had children, they no longer needed to work and they could be a stay-at-home mom if they so decided to be. Obviously, the way things are set up right now, a lot of homes do require dual income. But if you guys are working together, you guys can make money moves and make investments so that in the future, you can provide for that type of lifestyle. Moving on to the fourth area, which is spiritual. I saved this one for last because you can do all the things. You can present yourself healthy and beautiful. You can be emotionally mature. You can be financially secure and yet still not have a husband. Why is that? Why is it that there are some women who don't pray for a husband, some don't even want a husband, and yet they somehow end up getting married? But yet you, someone who actually wants a husband, who's been praying for one, is still single. What is going on here that you have to put in all this effort, whereas for them it was totally effortless? And there are several reasons, but one of them is generational curses. Do you see a pattern in your family where women are getting divorces, they get married late in life, or they don't get married at all? A pattern where all you see is women getting children out of wedlock. None of them is married. You could be dealing with a curse or evil altar against you that is preventing marriage from coming into your life. The second reason is demonic opposition. The devil doesn't want to see kingdom marriages. He understands that these marriages carry power, purpose, and are a very example of the thing he's trying to destroy, which is Christ and the church. Do you know that at the end there will be a grand wedding between us, the church, and Jesus? Do you know that God has a purpose for your marriage and the children that are birthed as a result of it? That you and your husband can do so much damage to the kingdom of darkness because it is written, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them." And to show you the power of 2, Ecclesiastes says this, "2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor." There is so much that you can accomplish with your husband as a team, especially when you guys are working cohesively for the plan God created for you. "For if they fall, one will lift up his companion, but woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to lift him up." Life is full of trials and tribulations. There is death, loss, setbacks, and God created union so that we can help one another. Again, if 2 lie down, they will keep warm, but how can one warm alone? There are certain things that you are not going to be able to do by yourself. And God purposely sets it up this way so that we do not grow arrogant and prideful. Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him. There is spiritual warfare and opposition that may come, but we know in scripture that the prayer of agreement has so much power in the spiritual realm. Then it says, "And a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Where did the 3 come from when we were just talking about 2, 2, 2, 2, 2? The third is God, because God is the one that's going to maintain this union until the end. The one thing God said wasn't good, after having created everything perfect, after having created everything good, was the fact that Adam was alone. Satan wants to keep men away from their wives because he knows that there is a level that that man won't be able to reach without you. But if you guys are joined, then the devil needs to look out, because you guys are going to work together to make sure that God's will and kingdom be on earth as it is in heaven. And he is terrified of that. One of the best books that I read about deliverance from curses and demonic opposition is this book by Reverend James A. Solomon. This man grew up in witchcraft, so he is very aware of all the tactics and schemes of the enemies. I really enjoyed it because in the end, it has a lot of prayers and declarations that you can speak over your life and really be freed from them. Another spiritual key for preparation is fasting. For those of you who don't know, I met my husband through online dating. But before I met him, I had tried online dating several times and failed. On January 2022, I decided to do a 21-day Daniel fast specifically to have God's hand move against any delay or opposition hindering my marriage. My best friend even joined me for the first 10 days, and let me tell y'all, God moved. He even spoke to my best friend through her dreams, okay? That's how powerful fasting is. So trust and believe that what you are doing is not in vain. After all this, I want you guys to know that you don't need to have it all together to meet your husband. As long as you are submitted to God and going with Him through this process, you are right where you need to be. When I met my husband, I still had my braces on. Yeah, I was going to the gym, but I wasn't all the way consistent. And to be honest, there was some hurts from a previous relationship that was still in my heart. No one is going to be perfect, including your husband. But I will say that after meeting my husband, through the way that he loved me and cared for me, I feel like all the remaining hurts and pains were totally healed. And I know that God used him to shine his love for me. There is so much healing that happens when someone loves you and pursues you, when someone exudes the characteristics of kindness and patience. I was thanking God every single day for joining me to this man. If you haven't already, make sure to download my free ebook where I include all the Bible verses and prayers that I use to believe God for a husband. I'll see you guys soon.